Well, today I am super excited. As most of you know, at the time of this video, it's a 1-year anniversary for Bambu Lab, and they're offering a bunch of discounts and specials and whatnot, including a discount on the P1P. Right now, they're offering $100 off, which is fantastic. It brings them from $6.99 down to $5.99. And at this time, I don't know if that's going to be just a limited time special, or is it going to be a permanent change? I have no idea. We can ask around, and to tell you the truth, I think it should be a permanent change. $5.99 was actually the price point I was predicting when they first came out with the P1P. And it seems like a sweet spot to me. It seems like a good price point. So it'd be great if they kept it at that price. Now, when I ordered this, they were able to ship it out within a couple of days, and I got it in under a week. It's fantastic. You know, I did not expect to, wait under a week for it, but it got here quickly. So hopefully it'll be in stock for quite a while they still have this special going on. So besides the $100 off, why did I choose the P1P? Now, I started with an X1 carbon, the full-blown, with the AMS, and I've had it for 6 or 7 months, and have loved it. I've had very minimal problems, just a couple of times, and it was probably, my mistake, not the machine's. But able to correct everything, and it's been printing non-stop just about. And I've been thinking about getting another one. I've been torn. It's like, well, am I going to get the X1 carbon? Do I need the AMS, or am I going to get the P1P? Is that going to do everything I need it to do? But given the $100 off, it was like, I went ahead and jumped on it, right? Well, I started with the X1 carbon, and that was probably my, who knows, 9th or 10th printer overall, but my first X1 carbon, and now this is my first P1P. But now while I'm reviewing this, given that I started at the X1 carbon, I guess they set a pretty high benchmark, and when I'm reviewing this, I'm going to be comparing it to the X1 carbon, right? I guess that's only natural, but I guess a good thing when the package got here, like I said, it got here fast, and it was unmarked, unscathed. There was no damage to the outer carton, anything like that. So that was a relief. And once I unboxed it, just like the X1 carbon, it relatively took no time at all to set this sucker up, right? And it was ready to print. Now, there are a few things that I noticed just as soon as I took it out of the box, and mainly, as soon as you take it out, then you'll notice it has that same the sturdy frame on it, but it's an open chassis. Of course, there's no sides, no doors. Has the same build volume, and further along as you set everything up, then you'll notice the change, the different control panel. It's much different than the X1 carbon, and I'll get into that a little later. A lot of the specs are very, very similar. Has the same core XY, so it has the, 20,000 millimeter per second squared acceleration, and up to 500 millimeters per second printing. I haven't tested it at that speed yet, but we'll see. It has the same direct drive extruder and the same hot end. Has the automatic bed leveling, which works very well. It helps you give that perfect first layer, right? And FYI, on the X1 carbon, I've always had a pretty good first layer. I've never had a bad one, and let's hope this one follows suit. Well, in the past, they didn't have the camera and the LED light here. And recently, I don't know if it was a couple of months ago, I know recently they started including the LED light and the camera with the P1P. Now, the camera is a little different. It's a 720p, and the X1 carbon's a 1080p. But I'll get into that a little farther down. Yeah, so it carries a lot of the same features, right? Almost, but the main thing I saw that it doesn't have, there's no LiDAR on it, right? There's no auxiliary part cooling fan, of course, since it's not enclosed. It comes with a double-sided the PEI plate. With the X1 Carbon, you get the cool plate, the engineering plate. I think the high temp plate was an option, but it came with extra film that you put on. But it has the PEI plate, which so far has done pretty well. The hotbed on this one, it has a maximum temperature of 100 degrees C, and the X1 Carbon, I believe it was 120 degrees C. Now, most of my prints I've never reached 100 degrees C. I think using ASA I get up to 90 degrees, but I'll mention the bed a little later. And like I said, with this the faceplate here, this control panel, it's quite different. This is more of a manual scroll through menu. It's not a touch screen. And at first I thought that was going to be a pretty big deal to me, but if you think about it, I mean, you have the handy app, and on your PC you can control everything from there. And back to the camera, this is a 720, and I would have to say it kind of sucks. The LED lights seem to be fine. I mean, it's doing what it's supposed to do, but with the camera, if you're on the handy app or even trying to watch it on your PC, the motion is very choppy, and sometimes I've had it where it's just frozen. It's not even following anything at all. You might as well just be looking at still frames, right? If you ask me, I mean, if you're going to put a camera on there, put something that works. Don't just, slap anything on there. That's I don't think that's what Bambu Lab's all about, right? It's supposed to be scaled down, but everything that's left on it should work, right? And the same thing with the heating bed. And before I was saying that, so far I have not had to go up to 100 degrees C. When I'm using ASA, I go up to 90 degrees on the X1 Carbon, and it works great. But what I did notice with this, not only is the lower max, but it takes a lot longer to heat up. So that's kind of something that you notice when you're setting everything up, and you've put it through the slicer and you're sending it over. It's like, okay, you got to wait for the bed to heat up. So between that and the camera, those are about the only two things that I really was disappointed in, right? Because it is something that affects your overall printing experience. It's something that has a noticeable effect on your time and performance. Now, there are some upgrades available, but sadly there's some that aren't either. But there's some that are must-haves to me, and I guess one of the first things I'm going to do, I'm going to make it enclosed. I'm going to print off some sides, put a door, put a top on it. After it's enclosed, I'm going to add a fan so that I can vent off fumes and everything, and probably replace the nozzle with a hardened steel nozzle, right? Between those three, I mean, if you do those options, it brings your printing capabilities up a level. So now that you have, I can do ASA, which I do a lot of. I'll be able to do ASA over here, and say, what if I had ASA carbon fiber also? Well, the hardened steel nozzle, I should be able to print without any damage, right? So those are some must-haves. A lot of guys I've seen the control panel was a big deal for them, and they're trying to make something else that will work, and that's no big deal to me, given that I already have the handy app and control on your PC. So that's not a biggie. I do like the other control panel on the X1 Carbon though, but I can live with that. The camera I cannot live with. That's, I don't know how many times I've said that during this video, but I don't even know why they put it on there if it's that useless, right? And I guess The only other option I wish we could put on, and I am going to miss the LiDAR. I'm sure it'll print well without it, but once you've had it, it's hard to give up. You know what I mean? While the LiDAR gives you that dynamic flow calibration, you know, and you'll see it, you know, go across the front, and you can almost do this before every print without losing too much time. It doesn't take that long. But with this, with the P1P, and you try to do the dynamic flow calibration, it's kind of old school. It goes through and it lists all the variables and the sample lines all the way through. And it takes a little while. Of course, first you have to wait for the bed to heat up, and then it lays out all the factors there with the, you know, sample lines. That takes a little while, and then when it comes down to it, when it's done, then you choose which line you think looks the best. So you're adding, it's a matter of opinion, right? So you could be adding a level of human error in there, when before, you know, with the LiDAR, okay, it's doing it, right? And but I guess once it's set, it's set. You know, you don't have to do that before every print. But with the LiDAR also, I like the fact, especially if you're doing a large flat surface, it will go through and read out and check your first layer and make sure everything's fine. That I liked. And so far I have had no problems with the first layer, and like I said, I hope this follows suit. I know I will miss the LiDAR on this one, but it'll be kind of good to see how much it takes away from your overall printing experience, right? Can I live without it? Probably. Love to have it, yes, but I know it's I don't think it's available as an upgrade on the P1P. So overall, I'd have to say the P1P is exactly what I was expecting. There was a couple of kinks in there that I was like, wow, you know, I'd hated to see, and that was with the camera and the long time for the heat bed. I wish they would have just kept the same heat bed as the X1 Carbon and the camera also. I mean, they've taken everything away and taken away the LiDAR, right? But those two factors, the heat bed and the camera, really, it's not just reducing the cost, it actually took a level of the printing experience down a notch, right? But we'll see. Hopefully there will be a solution for that, you know, coming soon. And I have to say, it did print well. Of course, you know, I go through and printed off a Benchy. That was the first thing I did, and I printed one that I had on file, and then one that was on the library here, and they both look great. It was just the speed. With the one that was in the library from Bambu Lab, it did it in 21 minutes or something like that. The one I had on file and printed it, it took 40 something minutes, 41 or 42. But they looked about the same. Little small differences, but it did pretty well. And I printed off, this is a part that I print off using PETG, and it turned out great. You know, what can I say? I was pretty pleased. So overall, I think this printer is going to do very nice in a growing printer farm, right? It's super fast, super reliable, and can handle just about any filament I throw at it, especially after I do my upgrades, right? It brings it to the next level where I can use ASA and a lot of carbon fiber stuff. And with the upgrades, I don't mind upgrading stuff, right? I spent so many, you know, with these other printers, I've modded just about every one of them. I think the X1 Carbon is the first printer that I didn't have to modify anything or do any upgrades. So this one I think is a lot of fun. So in this case, I'm looking forward to it. But if you don't want to do any upgrades, then maybe, you know, you can lean towards the X1 or the X1 Carbon. But if you think about it, a few of these printers as fast as they are and as reliable as they are, it really increases productivity, right? And it frees up a lot of space. You know, if I can bring one of these in and get rid of 3 of my old ones, you know, if space is a factor, I mean, this is the way to go. And I'm sure I'm going to be looking for another printer one of these days. And time will tell what I need. What is it I'll need? Is it going to be, will I be able to get by with a P1P? Am I going to need an X1 or X1 Carbon? Am I going to need an AMS? I don't know yet. But by the time I need one, I'm hoping Bambu Lab will come out with something similar to the X1 Carbon, but with a larger print volume. That would be excellent. Nudge, nudge. You know what I mean? So, if you're thinking about getting a P1P, if you've been wanting one, now's the time to do it. $100 off is pretty sweet. So, I guess that is it for this video. So, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Watch for my next video, and happy printing.